Grâce à ses filiales dans 33 pays d'Afrique subsaharienne et à sa banque internationale à Paris, ECOBANK fournit une gamme complète de produits bancaires aux clients du secteur commercial et du secteur public en utilisant de multiples canaux dans le but d'améliorer le développement sur le continent africain. Aujourd'hui, ECOBANK fait une entrée remarquée sur le marché boursier de Londres avec l'émission réussie d'une euro-obligation de 400 millions de dollars. À l'occasion de la cérémonie d'ouverture du marché, nous recevons M. Jérémy Awori, PDG du groupe ECOBANK, qui nous en dira plus sur cette étape importante et sur les projets ambitieux de la banque pour développer d'autres projets en Afrique. Monsieur Jérémy Awori, bienvenue sur Africa 24. ECOBANK a dévoilé dans son agenda en visant un portefeuille d'1 milliard de dollars dans la finance verte et en donnant la priorité aux objectifs de développement durable des Nations Unies. Comment le groupe compte-t-il allouer ses obligations nouvellement acquises pour investir efficacement dans les défis climatiques et agricoles en Afrique?
ECOBANK is extremely committed to sustainability and sustainable finance, and obviously climate finance, green finance are core components of that. But there are other elements of sustainable finance that we're also very involved with, whether it's gender financing, to name another. So for us, when we're looking at the funds that we've got, we are targeting those sectors. In particular, we're looking at things like green energy as a target area because Africa has huge potential. When we look at the Africa potential for wind, it's 59,000 gigawatt potential. When we look at the solar potential, Africa has 60% of the best solar conditions at 11,000 gigawatts. So we want to enable this because this power could power the entire continent. So we'll be financing clean and green energy. We also have other projects that we're looking at in terms of sustainable finance. We're looking at agriculture, gender-based agriculture, and we've brought in partners who will also help us risk share in some of these areas to be able to bring the price down and enable us to bring more people, into the fold and benefit from this concessional financing where available, and also to upskill them as we do so.
Comment le marché de la bourse de Londres sera-t-il un terrain fertile pour le groupe ECOBANK en tant que fer de lance du développement durable sur le continent?
I mean, London is the preeminent financial center, and especially a financial center for businesses that are focused on Africa. We've got a lot of key stakeholders here. So by listing our bond on the London Stock Exchange, it really just amplifies the Africa opportunity. It amplifies the confidence that investors have in ECOBANK and its new strategic plan by giving this 5-year senior unsecured Euro bond, and it's really going to demonstrate and show the impact that ECOBANK has across its 35 markets across the continent.
Début octobre 2024, ECOBANK Transnational Incorporate a annoncé le succès de l'émission de 400 millions de dollars d'obligations seniors en garantie, la 3e émission de la banque sur les marchés obligataires internationaux et la première émission publique d'euro-obligations par une institution financière en Afrique subsaharienne depuis le début de l'année.
So the ECOBANK 5-year unsecured Euro bond, it is a milestone for us, number one, as a bank. I think it is also an important milestone for financial institutions in sub-Saharan Africa, given it's the first issuance since 2021. So for us, we're proud to be trailblazing at this point in time and showing that markets are actually indeed open to African financial institutions such as ours. It's also a vote of confidence in our ECOBANK story. And that's what we're confident about. With the growth, transformation, and return story, we see significant growth opportunities across the markets in which we operate. We're excited about those opportunities and, more importantly, excited to work with our clients and with our customers to grow the economies in which we operate.
ECOBANK Group et Transfarto, un groupe technologique mondial basé à Singapour, ont signé un accord de partenariat stratégique le 7 novembre 2024 à Singapour afin d'élargir l'accès financier et les paiements transfrontaliers à travers l'Afrique. Parlez-nous de ce protocole d'accord et de la manière dont il contribuera à stimuler le commerce intra-africain.
So there are three areas that you've just mentioned that are really important to EcoBank in terms of its strategy. You've talked about trade and intra-Africa trade. We've talked about payments, and we've talked, about partnerships. So EcoBank's strategy is really predicated around leveraging the markets we're in, the 35 markets on the continent. We are also leveraging the fact that we have offices in London, we have a bank in Paris, we have offices in Dubai and also China. These represent important trade corridors for the African continent and for African businesses, and we want to leverage our connectivity across all these markets to support our customers to trade better. We're also working with the Africa Continental Free Trade Secretariat to try and drive that trade number of African countries up from 15 to closer to 25%. I think that will be really important for the continent to create jobs and to create value. Now, when it comes to payments, this is another significant strategic focus area for us. We want to be a leader in payments across the continent, a leader in payments within countries for domestic payments, but also a leader in remittances in terms of bringing funds from the diaspora and funds from investors in Africa into the continent. Today, that is a figure of about 60 billion that comes into the continent every year. And our partnership with Transfer2 allows us to do cross-border transfers from those other markets. They come with almost 200 countries in their network, and those countries are looking for a partner like working through Transfer2 with a partnership with EcoBank, because they connect to our API through our single IT platform, and they get access now to all of the 35 markets, so we can do remittances into the country. They also have different tools that we are working with them on. They have tools around compliance and anti-money laundering. They have tools around nano lending that we see opportunities for us in our partnership to be able to bring to Africa. So we're looking at the best of breed in technology, things that have worked in other parts of the world that we think are appropriate for Africa. We want to accelerate and bring them onto the continent.
Les prêts d'EcoBank ont directement bénéficié à plus de 50 000 entreprises dirigées par des femmes en Afrique dans des secteurs allant de l'agriculture à la technologie. L'institution financière panafricaine a également alloué 50 millions de dollars aux énergies renouvelables dans les zones mal desservies, entre autres projets à fort impact. Quelle est la stratégie de la banque et comment encouragez-vous les autres institutions financières du continent à favoriser la résilience économique des communautés vulnérables?
So you've talked about two things. If we talk about finance for women, we have the EcoBank Elevate program. That Elevate program has financial and non-financial components to it. We want to build capacity and capability for women and women-run businesses. And actually, so far, that number that you mentioned of 50,000 has actually grown to almost 100,000 businesses we've benefited. We've lent over almost $250 million into those businesses. And we believe that it's vitally important that we support women-run businesses and women entrepreneurs, because it has a trickle-down effect into the economy. It impacts in other ways. It impacts in food security. It impacts on education. It impacts on health because of the way women run their businesses. So we have our Elevate program that we are using. Now, in terms of the green finance side of things, we have a certification from the Green Climate Fund. We're one of I think the only bank in sub-Saharan Africa with this certification. Now, this certification is run out of our business in Ghana, and it enables us to work with partners to come and access concessional financing, green climate financing for green and clean projects. So one of the examples of a project we're working on in Ghana is around electric mobility and e-mobility. So we're looking at actually more electric vehicles. The Ghanaian government has signed its own policy and regulatory framework on that. So we expect to see at least a doubling of electric charging stations in Ghana. We've also supported many solar projects across a number of our countries, and indeed use them as EcoBank ourselves to power our own buildings and our own branches as we go forward. So we have a very clear strategy around driving clean energy, green energy, supporting businesses in doing that, and also using our certification to help those businesses also ride the adaptation curve, mitigation curve. And you talked about the impact in terms of vulnerable communities. This is so important that we get as much finance in to try and drive this, because Africa unfortunately feels the brunt of climate changes, whether it's drought, whether it's flooding, which destroys lives and property. And we want to obviously make sure that we contribute to the solutions that would prevent that.
Vous visez un portefeuille d'1 milliard d'euros en finance pour investir dans certains projets. Où en est cet objectif?
We've got, like I said, a number of projects that are already underway. We've got solar farming projects. I talked about the e-mobility project. We've got a project on sustainable finance and the Songo Salt Works project, which is really looking at rehabilitating 41,000 hectares, and harvesting salt, creating jobs for thousands of people within that community, and especially women workers. So we've got a whole host of projects that we're working on. We're making good progress against our own targets. And we're looking forward to others coming in with their projects. So we invite people to come and talk to us about the projects across the continent, because we are ready. We have a team that is ready to support them, so that we can show and share success stories that others may be able to copy and emulate in their respective countries.
Monsieur Jérémy Awori, PDG du groupe ECOBANK, merci d'avoir répondu aux questions d'Africa 24.